Am I the for asking my roommate to flush her toilet paper and disrespecting her culture? To give some backstory, I, 19F, white, have been living with my college roommate, 19F, Hispanic, for the past 2 years. Last year, our dorm building only had community bathrooms, so I was completely unaware of her bathroom habits as we did not share the space. Fast forward to the current school year, we now have our own apartment where the two of us share a bathroom. After about a week and a half of living together, I started to notice a foul odor coming from our bathroom. I spent hours scrubbing the shower, sink, toilet, floor, and counters, but the smell did not go away. I convinced myself that it must have been the sink releasing some trapped gas from the pipes or something. I submitted a work order to have the drain looked at and called it a day. Another week goes by and the smell is almost unbearable. Maintenance still hasn't come, so I open the cupboard underneath the sink to try and have a look for myself. When I open the door, my nose is violated by an odor one can only describe as a porta potty that has been sitting in full sun on the hottest day in July. I now realize where the stench is coming from as my eyes fall onto the trash can underneath the sink that is completely overflown with brown and yellow stained toilet paper. I walk directly over to my roommate's bedroom and confront her about this. I ask why she has been throwing her used toilet paper into our trash can rather than flushing it down the toilet. She tells me that it is Mexican culture and I wouldn't understand. I have never heard of this in my life, so I continue to question her about it. She tells me that everyone in Mexico throws their used toilet paper in the trash because the septic systems there aren't designed to withstand toilet paper being flushed down them. Am I the for calling my siblings' new partner a gold digger? My sister, my wife, my parents, and my sister's new boyfriend Mark go out for my dad's birthday. It's an upscale steakhouse and my wife and I are supposed to treat my dad. My sister and Mark are supposed to pick up my mom's side. Mom got a bottle of red wine, $140. My sister knows our parents' taste before going in on this. My sister pulls me aside asking if we could get my mom's side because they are broke and she'd pay me back. Mark had just lost his job. There was this whiskey flight my dad got that was almost $200, but then Mark decided to get the same thing after my sister said she couldn't afford mom's bill because Mark isn't working. I was silent on this, but cornered Mark in the restroom about it. I found out my sister was paying for him also, because MF just lost his job. I called Mark in front of the bathroom attendant a broke-ass MF gold digger and yelled at him about his bullshit. He told me he didn't take my parents to raise. Edit, take my parents to raise means Mark wasn't paying my parents' bill. I'm pissed off. So say something when they bring out this cake for my dad and Mark helps himself to another piece of cake instead of letting my parents take the rest home. I told my family that for not taking my parents to raise, Mark seems to be a greedy asshole. I tell my parents and sister what he said. My dad asks him to leave the party and my sister was going to pay the bill. My dad took it from my sister saying real men pay the bills and my dad would go without before his wife and children went without and my sister needs to save her money and make better life choices. Mark and my sister got in a huge fight and New York sister blames me for it because I couldn't keep my mouth shut about Mark. I told my sister at least she can dump the gold digger now, and my sister blocked me. Am I the for choosing to do something last minute so I won't have to do something for my dad and stepmom? I, 15F, have divorced parents with split custody. My dad and his wife have 4 kids, 10M, 7F, 3F, and an under 1-year-old. My dad and wife tend to get stressed easily, so they go out a few times a month, and I'm always asked to watch my step/half-sibs. I love my step/half-siblings, and I've watched them a few times, but it's overwhelming. The baby is fussy and needs to be held 24/7, 3F is destructive, 7F always wants to do something with me and I just can't so she throws fits and screams. Then, 10M is sweet, but he gets away with a lot of things, but he's always excused of being a boy, so when I'm watching, he thinks he can do whatever he wants. My dad's house is perpetually messy, and I'm expected to clean it. There's been times where they haven't kept much food in the fridge, so I'm expected to pay for pizza with my own money too. I'm also supposed to be watching them for 1 to 2 hours, but it always turns to more, and I have missed events because of it. I've come up with ways to deal with it. I've joined a lot of clubs/stay to study for my AP classes so they aren't able to leave the kids home alone until I get home from school to watch them anymore. I can always do volunteering over the weekend too, so they can't just leave the house unannounced anymore. I'm on my dad's time this week, and Friday they asked me to watch the kids yesterday because they were overwhelmed and needed a night to themselves. They would be gone from 5 to 7, but I know it would be more like 5 to 10. My older stepbrother, mom's side, was going to help his school's game around the same-ish time, so I asked if I could come and he said yes. I told my dad and his wife last minute and they said fine, but then I started getting texts from them about being really upset they had to miss their night together and I'm being selfish. I just don't know if what I did was right or not. I know they're very burned out and their family, so I could have just helped, but at the same time, I'm just tired. Am I the for demanding that my niece, or her parents, pay me back for the hundreds of dollars of perfume she stole from me? I have a perfume collection that I started when I was a teenager, slinging burritos as my first job. I have over 400 bottles at this point. I take great pride in my collection, and I use it. I'm also happy to give people decants, samples, of most of my bottles, let them sample a spray or two, give some bottles as gifts, etc. What I have a huge fucking issue with is my 17-year-old niece coming into my home under the guise of walking my dog, decanting bottles on her own and selling the samples to her little friends. She thinks that because I have so many bottles, I wouldn't notice some missing or getting massive dents in them. Well, little Miss Entrepreneur failed to realize that her private Instagram wasn't friends only or whatever, and I saw each and every fucking story with each price and sample she had. I tallied that shit up and got a pretty good estimate based on cost per ounce. Thankfully she mostly picked the TikTok famous perfumes like Bianco Latte and Escapade Gourmand and didn't go for the most rare, niche perfumes. She did snatch an entire 2.5-ounce bottle of Baccarat Rouge, though, which runs $300 plus at most retailers, as well as full bottles of perfumes you can get at Sephora. Like Marc Jacobs Daisy, Burberry Her Elixir, Flower Bomb, etc. Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken, price estimate, and handed it off to my sister, her mom. I said that I expect to be paid back, in full. And of course her fucking sneaky little ass is never allowed in my home again. My sister got super pissy with me going on about how my niece is just a kid, kids make mistakes, etc. I said yes, kids make mistakes, and this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers. Their argument is that now the money she was going to use for a car has to go towards paying me back. I don't care. She is lucky that I have no interest in involving the police, small claims, or any of that. But am I the because she is a teenager?